And a good day. Happy Monday. It's time for Take Two with Jerry and Debbie here on EWTN Radio and our many affiliates and other means of broadcasting the show. I'm Jerry Usher along with Debbie Georgiani and you. You always make the show what it is, so we look forward to starting the week off on a great note with your participation. And Debbie, hello there. How are you?
Hello, hello. Good weekend. Got a lot of things done. That's good. I love being back live on Monday and getting going with these great topics that a lot of our listeners have suggested, Jerry. So we're putting them on the fall and winter show calendar, which is really nice. So if you hear your topic that has come up, please email us. Let us know you listened to it and see if we did a good job representing what you wanted to say on this on that particular day. But today, on Monday, we're talking about, we're asking the question, what personality trait do you wish you had? So kind, loving, outgoing, funny, easy to talk to. You know, these are some of the traits that a lot of folks look up to and wish they could easily possess. And so we're asking today, what personality trait do you wish you had? And the reason why we're talking about this is because as Catholic Christians, we are called to continually grow in virtue and in our understanding of ourselves and our relationship to God. And we're called to stretch ourselves, Jerry, not to just be labeled into a box that, okay, this is what you always were like, and so you're going to stay this way the rest of your life. That's not true, because we have this great ability through life experiences to evolve, to grow, and to learn. And so we're asking that question today. I think it's going to be a very good health discussion we're going to have.
I agree. Here's the phone number. As always, you may have it memorized or perhaps written down somewhere if you are a regular listener to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. 1-833-288-EWTN. 833-288-3986. We learn from you. You learn from each other. We all come away a little bit better at the end of each hour of the program. And so, again, what personality trait or traits do you wish you had, or do you wish maybe you could develop further in your life? And there are just so many of them. One of them could be you could wish you were more capable, dependable. There are things like precise, persistent, imaginative. Imagination is a character personality. Fearless. Maybe you wish you were fearless or confident. And then Debbie mentioned some of those other ones already as well when she opened the show. Kind and loving and outgoing and funny and easy to talk to. So the list is long, Debbie, but I think each one of us has probably some things we look at ourselves and go, you know what? I wish I had a little bit more of this personality trait.
Yeah, and let's talk about it and see if there's ways that you can put yourself in those life circumstances so that you can stretch and grow and learn. It's life skills, 101, but it works. We'd love to hear from you, though. If you've ever sat down and you thought about that for yourself, you thought, I wish I was more like this. We'd love to hear from you. Here's the number, 1-833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. Please call us and let us know your thoughts about this topic, because we learn from you. Your life experiences help us, and we're doing this together. This is a peer ministry. So if you feel that there's something you'd like to say, now's the time to do it. Don't wait till the end of the show. Right, Jer? The end of the show always makes me nervous. It doesn't make you nervous, it makes me nervous.
Well, if you're on the line at the end of the show, you get named by name, but you don't get to get on the air, and that's unfortunate, because we usually go down and we say Martha, Bob, Tim, Francis, Sally. We wish we'd had time to get to you, so we do invite you to call in early, and you call in too and share what personality traits you believe that you do possess. These are gifts from God. Every one of us has so many different traits and characteristics of our personality, of our being, who we are, and how other people perceive us. So what are the ones that you believe God has blessed you with, and that make you the person that you are? And again, as Debbie said, if there were one or a couple of other ones that you say, I just wish I had a little bit more of this in my life, or I was a little bit more of that. You can share that too, because I like what you said, Debbie. It's always about moving forward. Not just remaining the person that we are, but becoming better. And personality traits are a very important part of who we are and what we do.
Yeah, it allows us to grow in virtue and the way we show up as Christ in the world. And it's very important that we explore these different avenues because here's the thing. You're not going to talk about this at work. I mean, are you going to say to your colleague, "Hey, I wish I was more humorous?" I mean, you're not going to say that to your colleague. Your colleague is going to say, what's happening with you today? What are you talking about? Is that report in on time?"
Didn't sleep much last night or what?
Yeah, yeah. And so you can have these conversations here, though, and they're important because they're life changing, actually. So don't sit this out. Don't just take notes. I'll take notes for you. What we want you to do is participate at 833-288-3986. But isn't that true, Jerry? I mean, we can't have these kinds of conversations at work. They're just not happening, I don't think.
You and I can.
Well, yeah, that's true. Okay, touche. That's a good one.
There are other ways you can weigh in on the discussion as well. You can send a text the letters EWTN to 55000. Wait for a small sounder that you'll hear, and then you can text your first name and your comment or your question. Small data rate may apply. You can also email us, take2@ewtn.com, and you can comment in the comment section on social media video streaming on Facebook and YouTube. But as always, we love to hear your beautiful voice, especially here on a Monday, 833-288-3986.
So what personality trait do you wish you had and you want to cultivate, you want to acquire? Or what personality trait do you have and you're really, you're kind of proud of that because you do a really good job showing up as Christ in the world. Let's hear from you. 833-288-3986. Remember, this is your show, so you drive the show. What you have to say, we're all listening globally, and that's pretty exciting. But when you call in, you're going to speak to Ryan. He's going to put you on hold, and you get to listen live. So then you can jump right in. So you don't have to feel like, oh, somebody else took my personality trait. You can have a couple in mind if you want, and you can be listening live and jump right in. I was always apprehensive, Jerry, about calling into a talk show because I didn't want that to happen, where somebody else would take my line or say what I was going to say, and then I was like, oh no, I feel foolish. But if you listen live,
somebody else, yeah, right.
Yeah, but if you listen live, it's very comfortable setting. So it's just a very beautiful conversation that unfolds here on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. So please call in.
And maybe somebody else has pointed out a character personality trait that you have. Maybe you didn't realize it. Maybe somebody says, hey, you know what, you're really gregarious, or you're really a funny person, and you're thinking, wow, I don't really try to be. I guess I am. So it could be something that you feel that you have yourself as a personality trait, something that somebody else has maybe pointed out to you that brought to your attention, or it could be one that if you had a list of those things and you said, I wish I was more like this, what would it be? 833-288-3986. Karen will get us started here in just a minute.
Okay, this is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie and you. And before we get to Karen, because Karen's been waiting so patiently, I just wanted to highlight Catholic Connection with Teresa Tomeo. Okay, Teresa is just a great journalist. I mean, she is fabulous. The way she delivers the news and keeps us up to date on what's happening in current events, and she just discusses issues, especially in the church and in our culture, that just really helps us. So tomorrow morning, 9 Eastern time, that is the time for Catholic Connection with Teresa Tomeo. Tomorrow morning's 9 Eastern time. Please, folks, check it out. You'll love it. You'll get really hooked on it. And Teresa does a great job, and she'll be so happy that you're listening. So just wanted to have that highlight. Okay, actually, we're going to go to Carol. Carol's in Pennsylvania on EWTN.com. Hi, Carol. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi, how y'all doing?
Doing well, Carol. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Well, I was just telling the screener that I wish I was more like my mom. My mom was tough. When I say that, I mean that in a complimentary way. She was able to work with people, and she was able to handle life. I am blind. I have talked to you before, and I wasn't born blind, but I was dropped at 4 months. And I think about my mom, and I think about the fact that, she and my dad had to deal with that. And my dad and I were like, I don't want to say sappy. I don't mean that, but my dad and I were very sensitive. And like I said, I wish I was more like my mom.
Sounds like she was very resilient, is perhaps one of the words.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
resilience is it's a trait I wish everybody had, Debbie, especially now in today's world. And Carol, it sounds like you went through a difficult situation there, like you said, being dropped when you were a young child, and now the blindness that resulted from that. Yeah, I mean, any parent would have a difficult time with that. Not only the parents, but even you yourself. I would say you're very resilient, Carol. You sound like a very happy person, like a joyful person. It sounds like you were in love with life. I hope those are all right. Maybe they're not. I'm not asking you to say. Yeah, see, so maybe you're more like your mom than you realize in that particular character personality trait. What do you think, Debbie?
Well, yeah, Carol, actually, as you were speaking, to be visually impaired, I would say that you are extremely resilient, extremely, tough in a good way. I mean, look at all that comes at you on a daily basis, and you have to navigate your way through life with this obstacle that you have to overcome on a regular basis, and you have fared very well. So I actually see you as that's, to me, I see you as just a model of resiliency, and also and the sensitive side of you, Carol. I love that about you, because that's where you tap into the heart and the soul. And I think this world has become extremely tough. And I mean this in a general sense, and we've lost a lot of that heart and soul. We don't necessarily wear our heart on our sleeve that much anymore. We have our guard up. Yeah, but I love that about you. See, Carol, to me, that's Christ. That's Christ. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I as a life skills person, I don't even know how I would even suggest you even putting yourself in a life circumstance to get kind of a tougher outer shell, because I think you have it just by your what has been given to you to live through, and so I think you're pretty awesome. I don't know. I that's what I'm taking away anyway.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you the one thing. This is a little tiny bit off topic, but I lost my house almost 5 years ago. And, I was really like, God, why? I love my house. I don't like living where I am, da-da-da. And that's been really tough for me, even after all these years. That's been really tough for me to deal with. And sometimes I get kind of weepy about it because, I grew up there and, my parents are gone, and that was the only tie I had to them was the house. And I think to myself, come on, girl, it's just a building. It's just, what are you getting all upset about and stuff? But I don't know. I'm very sentimental. I really am. The Christmas movies are on now, and here I am. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well,
Right.
those things are understandable, though, Carol. I think we all feel that way. I remember, it was I don't know, about 6 or 7 years ago. I went up for my high school was very small. We grew up on the coast of Washington State, very small high school. So when they have class reunion, it's an all class reunion. If any one class reunion got together, it'd be about 7 people. So they have all class reunions about every 2 or 3 years. And we went up there, and while we were there, all five of the siblings in my family were there, and we said, let's make a drive past our old house. We wanted to go see the house and the school across the street and things like that. So even after 35, 40 years, those things still remain a part of us, and they can be they can be happy memories, sad memories, but we're still a little bit of us is still there, I think. So I think it's beautiful that you feel that way, as long as it doesn't overwhelm somebody, to the point of kind of making them unable to move forward.
And the other thing too is God is always preparing us for things in the future, and we have to have that disposition that we have that attitude that we know we are going forward. And so it's very important, because sometimes when we do get stuck in the sentimental portion of our past, and we all have it, Carol. I have the same thing with things that I was so attached to that I wish I never let go of. It can hold us back. And so God is preparing you for something that He wants you to participate in the future. Right. And so maybe the home could have possibly been keeping you back. You never know. So you have to always, Jerry always says, reframe it. And you got to always reframe it to see the different angle. You know what we're saying?
Yeah. I just kind of hope that eventually, right now it's nothing. There's nothing there now. The people that took it after me, there were drugs involved, and it was destroyed. And it's like, I'm glad I don't live real close to it, so I don't have to worry about
protecting you. Right. Reframe it.
All right. Yeah, good stuff, Carol. Thanks so much for joining us. And you really do sound like a resilient person, just like your mom, Carol. And so thanks for calling Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Talking today about which personality trait do you wish you had or had more of, or has somebody pointed out to you that you do have. We're talking to Karen next, who is in Atwood, Kansas, listening to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on Sirius XM 130. Hello, Karen. Thanks for calling.
Hi. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
It's ironic, as I am very much like my mom and very quiet and reserved, particularly around new people. And people see me as very outgoing and creative and that type of thing, but it really is hard to do that. And I never know really how to approach new people.
Wait, so let me get this straight, Karen. They see you as outgoing, but in actuality, you're very quiet and reserved?
Yes.
Wow. So you're living, okay, so that you do give out a lot of energy to be that outgoing person when you're in the public settings, but your natural disposition is to be reserved. But are you comfortable with that, or do you feel like the two aren't kind of in synergy there?
Sometimes when meeting new people and they say, well, tell me about yourself, it's really hard to
gotcha. Okay.
Tell people share things about myself. And one of the things that like I said, people see me as very creative. One of the things that I always try to share is my faith, because my faith is most important to me. But sometimes it's very, it takes all the courage I have to say those things.
Mm. But when you do, are you happy about it? I just have to ask you that real quickly.
Oh,
are
yeah.
you happy? Okay. Oh, yeah. Good. So you're stretching yourself out. Okay. And you talk about your faith, and that's the most important to you. So that would be a great avenue for you to continue on. Maybe you're just more guarded about your own personal circumstances. You don't have to always release everything. I mean, I think sometimes people tell each other too much, because then it gets a little awkward. Wouldn't you say that, Jerry, when you just kind of spill over everything?
Yeah, I have. Actually, Debbie, you and I have a mutual good friend who says not everybody has earned the right to know everything about you. And sometimes we feel like we have to be sort of this open book and very transparent and so forth. Not saying that you are, Karen, but I agree with Debbie. I think, you mentioned that you're a little bit hesitant to share things like the faith and so forth. Once you've done that, you feel good about it, and you no doubt done some good for the other person. You've done something very positive for the Lord. So it is a matter of just maybe stretching sometimes. I think, Debbie, I've had that in my life where I've been a little bit hesitant to do things, and once I kind of push myself through that hesitancy, and I do pretty well at something, I say, wow, I didn't have to be hesitant or nervous or afraid to take that on at all. So I don't know if, Karen, if that's been your experience, that once you say, hey, I'm going to really give this a try, I'm going to push through whatever hesitancy I have, and then you've done it, you've got sort of almost a new confidence building at that point.
I think you said something that really has struck me, is that not everyone has earned the right to know all about me, and that really has struck me.
Oh, good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true, isn't it, Deb?
It is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying. You don't have to. I think we try so hard to be, out there, and then when we can't take it back once we say stuff. I mean, you have the right to keep your own personal situation, your life, your circumstances, your personality. You can keep that to yourself, and you can share just what you want to share. That's the beauty of having these relationships with friends and colleagues and stuff. And so I think you're doing great, Karen. And I love how you said that your faith is your most important thing. I love that. And you're stretching yourself to go out there and be a defender of the faith. I think that is wonderful. I think you're pretty awesome as well. So
thanks, Karen.
6 years ago, I started veiling, and that was a big stretch.
Oh, okay.
You started what?
Mass,
I didn't catch
veiling.
that.
Veiling.
Oh, veiling.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Veiling. Yeah. And I mean, the only one in the parish that does. I tell you, that was hard.
Yeah.
But I've done it for 6 years now, so
nice.
it's
Bless your heart.
It's a blessing.
No, it feels natural now. It feels normal. Yeah. Thank you, Karen.
I love
God
it,
bless
Karen.
you. Yeah, and that's another thing too, Debbie, is when we stretch ourselves a little bit, that initial feeling is kind of like exhilaration, like, wow, I didn't need to worry about that, and then after a while, we're just kind of doing that without thinking about it. It's second nature, and we have grown, we have stretched ourselves and become more the person that God made us to be. So, I think it's a good reminder for all of us to not be too afraid to maybe exhibit certain personality traits or do things in life. It doesn't mean we have to do everything or try to be everything, but if we sense within us something welling up, maybe that's a sign from God that He wants us to move a little bit further.
Well, God definitely takes us out of our comfort zone. That's for sure. So He definitely wants that. And Karen, thank you again so very much. I just wanted to share too before you hang up, and also too if Carol is listening as well. The other thing I want to share real quickly, Jerry, is that did you know that if you look at the lives of a lot of the Hollywood actors and actresses, a lot of them are very reserved and very shy off camera. But look what they're able to do when they are on screen. I mean, that's pretty amazing. So when you talk about getting out of your comfort zone, we all have that ability to do that when there's a passion or something that we really love. And like in Karen's case, she says her faith is everything to her. So I would say keep stretching, because God's going to use you in just marvelous ways. I love it. Thanks again, Karen.
Appreciate the call, Karen, from Atwood, Kansas, 833-288-3986. This is your show, so we invite you to weigh in. We're talking about your personality, our personalities, and we all have certain traits, characteristics, things that sort of shape us, define us, people recognize us for, people affirm within us. And we're just asking you today, is there one that you wish you had or had more of, or that other people have maybe to your surprise pointed out to you and said, you're really a funny person, you're really a patient, you're really a confident person, and that helped to stir that up within you. Let's talk about it. 833-288-3986. Go to Cheryl next in Dallas, listening on the EWTN app to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi there. Thank you, Jerry and Debbie, for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I called in because it's a very common thing, I think, for a lot of people is being organized. I'm like, okay, I have to go back and, go over my stuff and make sure everything's in order and everything. But it's just, I get so busy, and I just focus on what I got and it's in front of me, and then I go on, and then I'm like later on, okay, I got to back up.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Cheryl, I mean, have you done some of the practical techniques that we all have used? Jerry uses them, I use them as well, making lists and trying not to be so busy and tackling one thing at a time. And even if you accomplish just one or two things, I mean, that's getting you more on the road of being greatly organized. I mean, have you tried all those things? Because they do work. I mean, you're talking to somebody. I'm not the most organized. I'm the youngest child of a big family, and I keep things in order, but I'm not the most organized. I mean, there's people that are kind of what's the odd couple, Jerry,
Oscar and Felix.
Oscar and Felix. Yeah, I'm not like Felix. I mean, I don't have everything in a perfect. And a lot of the millennials are probably going, "Who's Felix?" I have no idea who Felix is. Okay, it was a comedy show in the day, but anyway, Cheryl. So, have you used any of those practical techniques? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, I try to, take care of stuff as I go, but a lot of times I just focus on, say I'm working and, I start buying stuff or whatever like that, instead of putting it in its place, I just go on and I'll take care of it later, kind of thing. And
Cheryl, you sound just like me, and I want to explore that a little bit when we come back. Cheryl in Dallas on Take Two. Stay with us. Good to be with you on this Monday at Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We got a phone line open here talking about personality traits and if there was one that you wish you had or had more of or were more at the ready to exhibit on certain occasions or maybe other people have pointed out in you. Let's call and talk about this. These are God-given gifts and traits, and we really should want to cultivate them if indeed we do have them and if we feel like God has blessed us in a certain way. So join the conversation, 833-288-3986, and we have Cheryl on the line in Dallas. Caitlin, hold on, you'll be next, also in Texas. But Cheryl, I was mentioning there before the quick pause there that I think we're a lot alike. I mean, I think my weakness is actually it's like I feel like if I put things away, like file them or put them in a certain place, organize stuff, I'm going to forget where it is, So what I do is, I'll buy things or I'll have paperwork, documents, and so forth, and I'll say, well, if I just leave this on the desk right here, I'll always know where it is, And then I put something else. I'll have something else. I'll say, well, if I put that on top of that, I'll always know where both of them are, and pretty soon I've got 6 inches of stuff stacked up all around my desk and on the floor, and Debbie, you've been to my house, you and Marty. So, but I don't know. I don't know if that's the same with you, Cheryl, or not. But I think for me, if I just became, put the effort into being more organized, I would be able to do it. I think we all could do it. But what about you?
Yeah, it really it's just taking the time, I think, and stopping when I have downtime, because I work. I'm working so much that, and then when I get time, my first thing is I'm going to church. I got to visit my friends and things like that, and then all that other stuff just kind of,
Builds up.
I'll get some time for it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if it wasn't for, for the bank just keeping track of all your stuff, I'd be like, oh, no, I don't even know how much money I got in the bank.
Well, but you know what? But you know what, Cheryl, you're not alone, because there's many people that go to different classes to try and learn how to have balance in their entire life. They have this exercise called the balance wheel, where you're able to gauge how much effort you're putting in each area of your life when it comes to work or spirituality or friends or family or
There
time
you
for
go.
yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's really very interesting, and you can actually look it up online. It used to be
Okay.
kind of something that was only exclusively used in life skills, but now it's online everywhere. And the balance wheel it's a great exercise. And what I would do for yourself is I would actually look at it online and gauge it. And if you see you're giving a 10 out of 10 to work, and you're giving 2 to yourself or something else, you've got to somehow fix that, so that the balance wheel of life is running smoothly, so you're not off kilter a little bit. And so I feel bad for you. It sounds like you're putting all your energy into work, and you're probably doing a fabulous job, but then other things are suffering, and that's not healthy for you in the long run, and it probably doesn't make you happy.
Right. Yeah, because I just got some downtime. My truck broke down, and I didn't realize how tired I was. And the maid came in the hotel room, and she goes, "Man, you look tired." I said, "I've been out 2 months without a day off."
Yeah, that's not healthy. That's not healthy for you physically. It's not healthy for you mentally, spiritually, emotionally. I mean, if you could try to dial that back just a little bit and then balance it out, you're going to see that your life flows so much more smoothly and happily, and you're going to feel productive, and that you've got everything taken care of. You see, it's easy. You don't have to make major changes. Tiny little changes will produce a very positive big outcome. You'll see.
Awesome. So I go on balancewheel.com, or
All you have to do is Google in life's balance wheel or balance wheel of life. I mean, there's so many of them. They come up, and you'll see all the different spokes of the wheel. And Jerry's going to Google it right now, I think, to see what you can look up. And you just take that test yourself, and then you'll see where the avenues that you need to devote more time to. But I can tell you this right now, just from what you're saying. Somehow you're going to have to figure out how to pull back a little bit on work and the energy and the effort you're putting into work, because the work is consuming you, and that's not healthy, and that's really not what God would really want for us. To be honest with you, He really wants us to have an abundant life and to have it to the full. Did you find something online, Jerry? I was stalling. There you go.
I just did a quick internet search. Millions of things come up. So yeah, just search for whatever Debbie said, balance wheel of life or something, and you'll find a lot of different things there.
Yeah, and call us back or email us, Cheryl. Let us know how it's working, because I mean, we're always just curious how people are doing. So our email is take2@EWTN.com. That's the number 2, take2@EWTN.com.
take2@EW. Okay.
EWTN. And you can always email us, and I can give you more resources too, like life skill stuff. So whatever works for you, Cheryl. But we're behind you. We're with you. Prayers are for you, and don't work so hard, please.
Thanks, Cheryl, for joining us. We had Carol on the phone earlier, and Maureen, who is watching on YouTube. Hi, Maureen. She says, like Carol, many of us who know we're sensitive personalities can be too hard on ourselves sometimes. I see it as a positive because we can tune into others on a deeper level. That's what Maureen says on YouTube, Debbie.
Nice. Very nice. And we've got some more emails coming in as well. Also, too, Caitlin was on the line from Texas. Caitlin, you had an interesting comment. So if you still have time, there's plenty of time for you to call back in. We'll get you to the top of the line because you've been waiting so long in Texas. Okay. And Jerry, can I share from our friend Helen?
Sure.
Who I just we love her so very, very much. Okay,
Hi,
our
Helen.
friend. Hi, Helen. Helen, okay, so Helen, oh wait, Helen just sent a second one, so you're going to have to help me. Okay, here it is, my personality. Helen from Idaho, she says, I found a page of a journal my mom wrote. She says, I'm good-natured, and I am. Also, I've aged. I've become wiser, more confident, and steadfast in my faith. What would I like more of? Courage, patience, ambition, and an easier time trusting in God when everything goes wrong. And she says, love you as usual, and God bless you both. And she says, Helen from Idaho. Helen, we just love you. We feel the same way. I think we can all use that, an easier time trusting in God. I think as the world gets crazier and crazier, sometimes it gets harder and harder. And, that's why we have shows like this to help us along the way. Wouldn't you say, Jerry? Because
Yeah. And
what are you smiling for?
She sent a follow-up email that I'll read here in a second, but I couldn't agree more, Helen, about having an easier time trusting in God when things go wrong. Boy, I'll raise my hand on that one. But she says, another email from me. After listening to the gal who wants to be more organized, that was Cheryl, I believe. She says, that's me too with my home life, and I'd love to be more organized and better managing money. She goes, ditto to your problem too, Jerry. Everything's everywhere. Love you, Helen in Idaho. Thanks, Helen. You're sweet.
Oh, we're all surrounded together and we're all alike. I love that. I love it. Okay, Vicki in Atlanta, Georgia, on the quest. Hi, Vicki. Welcome to Take Two.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Should I turn off this? I'm inside the car on a cell phone. Should I turn off the radio?
It sounds okay right now.
Okay, I'm going to turn the volume down.
Okay.
I was telling the screener that for the first time ever, my son, who is a very successful person, told me that he never felt good enough growing up in our family. And he was 4 when the second child was born, a daughter, and then the third one was born 6 years later. So he got 4 years of our togetherness, and I told him when he told me that, I said, you were not just good enough, you were better than good enough. You were a wonderful person. You were my heart. We did everything together, and all of my kids had a privileged life and 3 activities apiece every season of the year, and we took them to church and we loved them. But I was a full-time working mom with a husband who traveled, corporate job, and it caused a lot of conflict in that I didn't leave my job because I didn't feel secure enough in my husband, I guess. But I realized, and I told him that I should have been more secure in God and just given up the corporate job and let my husband support the family. And now for the first time, my son, who is the chief financial officer of his company, he flies planes, he's very successful, he has 2 master's degrees. All 3 of my children have master's degrees. They're all smart and educated and wonderful human beings, but he feels like that the daughters got more than he got for some reason. And this just came up out of the blue, and it's just blowing my mind. And he was crying, and I was crying, and we were at church when this happened in Indiana.
Okay, and Vicki, how old is this son that you're talking about?
He's still there?
Yes. How old is this son that you're talking about?
He just turned 40. He's three beautiful children. I went to visit him, and my grandchildren live there. They're my heart. And I even told him his oldest is my heart. The way I said, he reminds me of your 3, more of you than the other 2. And I said, I love them all, but the firstborn reminds me so much. I mean, I did everything I could to help him understand how much I love him and how much he is good enough and always has been good enough.
Right. Okay, so Vicki, first of all, Jerry and I are not counselors, trained therapists, or anything like that. I mean, there's always CatholicCounselors.com if you and your son wanted to pursue any counseling or video counseling, just to help in that situation. But I just want to share something from my heart to yours as a mother. Okay, I can hear the pain in your voice. I mean, you did everything you possibly could to give a life to your children the best you knew how. now. And for your son at 40 years old to have this somewhat of a mini breakdown and to reveal that he has never felt good enough. Okay, yeah, you have to validate his feelings, but by the same token, you can't absorb that kind of guilt at this point. I mean, that is, to me, that's just detrimental to your sanity and to your ability to cope. Right. Okay. So Vicky, what I would yeah. Well, what I would suggest, Vicky, real quickly, is I would suggest just talking it through with him and expressing to him that you're at a point in your life where you can't turn back the clock, you can't change anything, you can't quit that job, you can't rewind the clock. You did the best you could, and he needs to, at 40 years old, I have to say this, he needs to just get some help to get through some of the inadequacies that he has felt, because you have clearly reassured him that he was your heart and you had his best interest at heart. And so he needs to just get through this, because I'll tell you what, it sounds like he had a pretty charmed life. You know, the rest of us didn't have such a charmed life. We could have a lot. We could be.
I understand that, and I told him every word that you just said. Those are the words that I said to encourage him and to help him understand how much not only is he loved right now, but he was loved dearly by his father and me, even though his father and I fought all of our marriage because I wouldn't give up my corporate job and he wanted me to.
Right, but you do know that when there's fighting in the household, that's going to leave scars on the children. It just is. Unfortunately, the tension is. So your son has very valid feelings. What I would do is just ask him to move forward now. If maybe he can allow you the opportunity from this point forward, you can't rewind the clock, but from this point forward, you just love him up to death, and keep loving him and see if that somehow heals his wounds a bit. I mean, but going back and recapping the past is going to just be so detrimental, in my opinion, to you and your son, because you can't change it. What do you think, Jerry? I mean, wouldn't you say that?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't disagree with anything you've said. If this has come up, like you said, Debbie, he obviously has something under the surface, maybe some subconscious stuff that's coming up right now. But, no parent is perfect, like you said, and there are going to be problems in the home. And what I had a chance to do, Vicki, there were things that have come up in my life in adulthood, and I never had a chance. See, my parents divorced. There was strife in our home. I never had a chance to talk with my dad about that because he passed away. I was actually by his side when he died, but we didn't have that father-to-son talk. But I did have a chance to talk with my mom, and she actually initiated that at one point. And it was not, well, you did this, I did this. It wasn't. It was just, let's just talk. Let's just get maybe reconnected. And we had a chance to really get to know one another on a deeper level before she passed. It was a few years before she passed away, and
did you live in the same state?
No, we did not. I was visiting.
That's our biggest issue. Is we don't live in the same state. We only see each other a couple times a year, and I fly there on my own dime. I fly there as much as I can go to see him and the children, and we don't live in the same state. And he's busy. He runs his company, and it's hard.
Right. Yeah, and this is like Debbie said, we're not counselors. We can't possibly give you, any advice as to what you should do. I just wanted to share my own experience, and maybe what you might want to do is pray about it. I had no doubt my mother had been praying about this because the Holy Spirit provided the opportunity during one of my visits for us to be kind of alone, segregated from everybody else for a little while. And she says, I'd really like to talk to you. And it was just very, very beautiful. It was healing. It was loving. There was no blame. There was no, you did this, I did this is how I feel or anything. It was just, let's just talk. Let's just sit here and love each other a little bit. And, some things could come out and it could be very, very healing and therapeutic. But beyond that, like I said, Debbie and I, again, we just want to emphasize that, we just share these things from our own lived experiences, not so much from being trained as therapists or counselors or experts or anything, but life is what it is, right, Deb? And, I think family relationships are so important. And if there are any issues like this, maybe they're big things, maybe they're little things, maybe maybe there will be a chance to explore them, maybe there won't be. But I'd suggest to Vicki, just pray about this and let the Holy Spirit lead and guide.
Yeah, I agree, Vicki. But
that's exactly what I'm doing. Exactly. And he's Christian. He raises his kids. The three kids are homeschooled because they're such a wonderful family. I just feel helpless. I feel like I didn't do my job now. Like
No, Vicky, you need to listen to Colleen Kelly Mast on Mast Appeal on Saturdays. You need to listen to her because people call in all the time with your same situation. And you know what she says to them? Exactly what I shared with you. She says, you can't go back and rewind it and do everything. You have to go forward. So you're doing what you say, you fly out there, you visit them, you're there for them. He's your heart. Keep going forward. Don't allow it to be taken backwards, because I personally believe, this is my personal opinion, that's where Satan wreaks havoc, because there's nothing you can do about it. And all that's going to do is increase guilt and fears and then anger and then all sorts of disappointments. And that's all of Satan. That's not of God. So go forward. Love him up going forward. There's nothing you can do. That would be my suggestion. Is that okay with you? I hope I'm not being so strong, but I listen to your story. My heart goes out to you because I can hear your pain.
My heart is breaking, and my two daughters don't feel this way. They love us, and they tell us they appreciated what we did. But my son, who is the oldest, I asked my son, my husband, who is the oldest, and his family of 4 boys, did you? Because I shared it with him when I got home. I said, did you ever feel like you weren't good enough being the oldest in a family of 4 boys? And he said, oh, absolutely. He said, those 3 boys were spoiled rotten. So I started thinking, well, maybe that's the way it's supposed to be, the oldest in the family. I don't know.
Well, my sister's the oldest, and she felt good enough. She was always, I think it's a personality. For some reason, your son just absorbed that way. But it's valid feelings he has, but I don't think you have to bear the guilt of it. That's all I'm saying. So somehow you have to, like Jerry said, take it to prayer and balance it out and go forward and make it productive rather than going backwards and dragging up all this old stuff. Okay, Vicki?
All right, Vicki, we're going to pray for you and for all of your children, your grandchildren, and your family. And we thank you for listening on The Quest to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Thanks for calling us up on the program. Lauren, we are going to get to you next. I just have to mention that there is it's still a new book. It's been out for a few weeks now, and it's from EWTN Publishing. Saint Pope Paul VI. Pope Paul VI was just canonized by Pope Francis a couple weeks ago, and it's by Dr. Matthew Bunson. He is one of the senior content contributors for EWTN News, and his book, Saint Pope Paul VI, celebrating the 262nd Pope of the Roman Catholic Church. If you've read anything by Matthew Bunson, you know how good it is, and you probably have, because he is the author or co-author of about 54 books right now, and he's widely recognized as a leader in church history and knowledge about the church. And of course, Pope Paul VI led the church in the wake of the Second Vatican Council. He wrote Humanae Vitae. So it's really important that we know who this Pope was, get inside his mind and heart, and Dr. Matthew Bunson will help you do that. It's from EWTN Publishing, St. Pope Paul VI, celebrating the 262nd Pope of the Roman Catholic Church. You will find that in the religious catalog at EWTNRC.com. Get a hold of it.
Okay, Lauren in Atlanta, Georgia as well on The Quest. Hi, Lauren. Thanks for waiting and welcome.
Hey there. I got such a kick out of your question there about what virtues or whatever do I long for. And it reminded me back about 25 years ago, I had been gone for the church for quite a while, many decades. And I had come back and I was just loving the Lord. And I was sitting in the church parking lot. I was waiting for my children to come out of CCD. And I saw a woman who I recognized as being such a humble and holy and docile woman walking from the church over to the school. And I looked at her and I thought, Lord, I want to be just like her. I want to be just like her. And it's clear as day I heard the Lord say, I didn't create you that way. And I just had to laugh because my temperament is feisty and I can be, bold and assertive and all of those things that can be seen negatively. But I've seen how many ways the Lord has blessed me with that temperament over the years. And every time I think of that, I just chuckle at how the Lord so quickly said, I didn't create you that way. And I felt so blessed by that comment. So I thought I would share that. We shouldn't beat ourselves up about what we don't have. God gave us our personalities and our temperaments for a reason to use them for Him.
Amen, sister. I love what you just said because that's so important because we're all created differently and we are to use those just like you said to for the glory and praise of God. And yes, if having an assertive attitude crosses the line and turns into being, mean or unkind or a bully, well, yeah, of course, you got to dial it back and you've got to use that assertiveness to be for the glory of God, not to be to destroy man. And so, yeah, absolutely. But your personality, of course, God created that, and God also asks you, Lauren, to expand that and to grow and to use it more and more and to acquire more virtues and more characteristics that are Christ-like. And I love that about you because I'll tell you what, if you look at lives of the saints and you look at the first apostles, a lot of them had very bold attitudes, very assertive attitudes. Okay, they weren't docile. So I mean,
Yes.
It's how I love what you have to say, and I think that's a confirmation and an affirmation to all of us that we can't be looking outside of ourselves and saying, we want what somebody else has. God created us the way He created us, and we are to use those gifts wisely. And you're doing that. Way to go, Lauren. I'm glad God spoke to you in that personal way in that parking lot.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Amen, sister.
Amen. Preach it, sister.
Again, I just don't beat yourself up. God created you for a reason, and you have your temperament for a reason, and go into that and seek out what He has assigned for you specifically, and your temperament will match what He has assigned for you. That's what I believe.
Amen. Great stuff, Lauren. Good contribution to the program. Hope that you'll call again and keep listening, and please do support the Quest Atlanta and also EWTN. Keep us all in your prayers as we will for you. Thank you, Lauren. Real quick, Debbie, we had an email from Kim, and Kim says, Jerry and Debbie, since all the traits we have come from God, I keep a list of all my traits on a notepad on my phone. I categorize them by strength, strong, neutral, and need work on them. I review them every 4 to 6 months to evaluate how I am best using the gifts that God has given me for His greater glory. I understand I have been given this gift to use to build up His kingdom of God here on earth. Am I developing them or not using them, etc.? I move them around on the list accordingly. Am I using the gifts for promoting myself, selfishness, or using them for the benefit of others, charity? I believe we should try to use the gifts as God intended. This has been one of my focuses in working toward saintliness. And that's what Lauren was trying to say too, I think.
I think that was just a beautiful, beautiful email. Thank you so much, Kim, for sharing that. That just summed up this conversation. I think we had a very productive conversation, and we all walked away with knowing we need, let's see, Jerry, what's our takeaway? We need balance in life. We need to accept ourselves. We need to work on ourselves, stretch ourselves. We need to appreciate others, to affirm others where they're at, and also not try to rewind the clock and try to do things over. Just move forward and be better. That's what God is asking us to do. That's my takeaway anyway. What's yours, Jerry?
Well, I was going to actually take away, instead of a takeaway, I'm just going to read a couple more social medias because via text, Adrian said, while I've been told I'm a great teacher/presenter, I wish I was more focused. My academic history is all over the map. And Michael on YouTube, Michael says, I have the organizational skills of a 6-month-old puppy. Well, Michael, I'll tell you one thing. My dog Duke is a little older than 6 months, but he's quite a good organizer. He always knows where all of his toys are. And this morning I'd given him a couple of treats yesterday afternoon out on the patio, and he didn't eat them, and he went right to them this morning. So he knew right where they were. Wow. So he's a pretty good organizer, Michael.
I love it. Well, great contribution by everybody. Thanks so much. And I love seeing we don't see them, but you guys see us on YouTube and Facebook, but the chats are going, which is really great, Jerry. Tomorrow's show, we're going to be talking, we titled the show, Never Say Never. Boy, that's an extreme word, never. Never say never. Okay, have you ever done that in your life? Have you ever said never again? And then you find yourself in that same situation again or something that, or I'm never going to be friends with that person. And then the next thing you know, you're at a party and you become friends again. Never say never. That's what we're going to talk about, right, Jerry?
That's right. We hope between now and then that you will keep us in your prayers. Please do that for us daily. Me and Debbie and the show team, especially Rich, Jeff, and Ryan, and Michael. And thanks to the affiliates for carrying the program. We will talk to you again tomorrow. Until then, have a beautiful and blessed day. God bless you.